This is just a video to augment something I was saying on the original Chrysler Sebring troubleshooting video. This ground here is exactly the ground I was talking about, where I was talking about the EGR ground. Not very noticeable. Okay, this is something you should take off and clean off, especially if the car is older. You'll have drivability problems if the EGR isn't working correctly. Now, I've taken out this EGR pipe, I don't know, gazillion times actually, because of various things I had to do on this car. And I don't buy gaskets all the time for it. You can see this orange stuff that's on here. What I'll use is ultra copper Permatex, which is a, it's RTV, but sensor safe, high temperature silicone gasket maker. Works fine. Now, another thing to get at the EGR, I went through this a couple times, but you have, this is your transmission control module, right? And you have a bolt that's in the center here, 8 millimeters. That pull, and you take that out, harness comes out, and you have one bolt here and one bolt here. You could take out this TCM, or transmission control module. But before you do that, you take off the ground. I always do that just in case. I don't think it's necessarily, actually, because I don't think there's any electricity going through there, but I always take it off. To get out the EGR, you'd have plenty of room to get at it then. These are 8 millimeter bolts on that tube, okay, and they go up to the tube on the intake. And you should only have to take off the one side. If you look at this hose right here, the light is shining on this small hose, okay. This small hose routes up through here, and that's actually a piece of it right here, okay, right there. That little hose goes up under the intake manifold. There's a piece of it right here, and it goes back, way back on the bottom of, you can see it right there. You can see it right there. There's an elbow fitting. It goes on the bottom of the intake. A lot of times that hose could break, or the ends of the rubber could be rotted, and it'll cause you drivability problems with the because of the EGR. The exhaust circulation valve isn't working correctly. Now, when the engine is cold, this EGR is closed, okay? A lot of times, well, it's not a lot of times, but say for instance you have a problem with the EGR, usually the drivability problems will occur while the engine's warmed up. There's an exception to that, and I don't know if you can see this, but hopefully you can. You can see there's like a valve, like a stem that's inside there. The EGR is closed when the engine is cold. Sometimes they don't seat all the way, and you can take a screwdriver and kind of like jiggle that stem that's down there in that slot, and hopefully seat it correctly, and then you'll know the problems with EGR. A lot of times you can clean these things. Probably not worth it, but some people might want to try that because maybe they don't want to buy another one. But if the diaphragm is no good, cleaning it won't help. But when you remove this EGR, I think it's advisable. I took out the entire pipe because I wanted to make sure this entire pipe is cleaned out, and I did that too. So this car, although it has an extreme amount of mileage on it, it seems to be very good. And there's a lot of little things that break on them, and I think that's what frustrates people, because the engine management system, well, anything that's on a car that's computerized today is become more difficult. But as far as taking this out, this is not a big deal if you take out your transmission control module. A lot of times you have drivability problems. It could be this ground. It could be that ground, or it could be this little hose. And a lot of times I just reuse these gaskets. I use the gasket plus this ultra copper sensor safe high temperature RTV from Permatex, and I've used this on everything. I think it works better than gaskets. I use it in a lot of applications. That's just my opinion. I found it works very good. So I don't sell the product or anything, but that's just my advice. But just you know, check this as part of your normal routine maintenance if you're doing some kind of major tune-up. Make sure this hose is good and that ground is good.